You could look for the other person's the cues that they're using to remind them or to trigger whatever they're going to remember.
Okay.
If finding things or if they're able to, I don't know, find the whatever word they're looking for or whatever the thing is.
Are they able to actually complete a task? Are they able to
Yes.
follow a thought through to completion is what you're trying to say, I think.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
So Stephanie, what is something you would look for to determine if something you're seeing would be on the spectrum of normal aging or not normal aging?
See if their personality has drastically changed, or if they're more accusatory um, when they're trying to recall something, because like you and Teepa said before, they know they're losing this they're losing the their mind. Basically, that's not what I want to say, but they're losing their mind, and they don't want to be wrong.
Yes, because admitting that they're wrong, that there is something wrong, could be admitting that there's something going on underneath the surface. That it's the first step admitting to the fact that this isn't traditional aging, that something has gone off the rails, as it were. Okay. Excellent. Thank you both very much. All right, I'm going to jump back into the video. We have like 9 minutes left in the video.
I'm going to take you through and see how many things you picked up on that I know. Let's see how good you are. You're pretty good, I bet. So when I answered the phone, did I actually know exactly who I was speaking to? So I was unable to take the voice print and match it to the person that I know. So the challenge here is I covered a little bit. Hey, sweetheart, of course I do. Yeah, Betty who? Because I got the Betty, she told me Betty, but even with Betty, even with the name, I couldn't get across to the other side of my brain.
One thing we're going to do as we go through this last section, and I'm just catching this now, is if Teepa is talking about different parts of her brain and is doing motions, I want us to do them with her. So sorry for the late notice on that one. That was my mistake.
The voice print and go, oh yeah, that's who it is. I had to have help to get back across and find the last name and hook it into the picture that I have in the back of my brain. My wiring's not working quite right. Now that could have been a stroke. It could be inattention. It could be that I know a lot of Bettys, or it could be that something's starting to go wrong with my wiring. Okay. Now the next thing that happened, we're going to meet at the mall at 2 o'clock. What happened to the word Macy's and my association with that new store? It's just not there. I can't, there's no connection. The new data did not get wired into my hippocampus. I'm not able to hold on to the word, connect it with a location, and make it be something I could find. So when I go to the mall, what signage am I going to be looking for? J.C. Penney's. And so I will go right by that mall, and I will keep driving, and I will keep driving, because I know that it's got to be here. I can go over 300 miles, and then when I find the J.C. Penney's, I don't recognize, number one, how far I've driven and how long it's been. I don't think I've gone that far. I think maybe 15, 20 minutes. I mean, it was just slightly, a little bit longer. I have no idea how dangerous I have just made my life and how challenged you are by what I'm doing, because I can't hold on to that data because my hippocampus is not necessarily registering accurately. So this is why we have so many of those things where people get turned around. It's my wayfinding that's challenged by this. Now, again, this is a highly vascularized blood supply area of your brain, so it's high risk for strokes, but it's also one of the very first places that for many types of dementia we see damage. And so the challenge is they can't figure out how to get from place to place. Once they're in a place, once they get to the place, they recognize all the cues about the place. It's just getting there and getting back. And these can be, by mid-disease, these can be really familiar places. And so they're standing in the house, and they say, where's the bathroom? And your heart drops, because it's like, well, Daddy, it's right down the hall. Well, when did you move it to right down the hall? Because now what I have, do this. I have an overlay of this new data, but the old data is the house I grew up in. And I'm literally picturing the house I grew up in and where I would find the restroom. And this is not matching. And so I'm almost immobilized, or I'm frustrated because I thought it would have been right there. And so my question to you is, when did you move it? And what does your brain go? It's exactly where it's always been. Because these layers do this. These layers are clearly separated. Do this for me. They're starting to interlock and get messed up. And so if you look like somebody who was in my life a while back, I may make a mistake and think you are that person, because I'm losing the layering of time in my hippocampal area, just like I'm losing my space placement. Time and space are controlled by your hippocampus. And I'm starting to lose that skill and directionality. Can't do it. So the next thing that comes up, so we have that one, and then the next one. I like caramels and you like, now, I want you to take this one. The first words people who have cognitive change almost always lose, they almost always lose nouns first. They lose the names of things because they're highly specific, and you have to get to a particular location and then you have to articulate it. One is getting it in and the other one is processing and the other one's getting it back out. So you have, it's really complicated. You've got to receive, you've got to process, you've got to send out. This is all these guys together. But let's look for a word, push it up like this, but I can't find it. So here's what I want you to do. When you have not normal, go like this. Yahoo! This is my attempt to describe the word. What do you notice about how far away from the word I am? Pretty far away. And so your brain is going, huh? Because when you describe the word, it was a short circle. There's actually a term for it. It's called circumlocution. I talk around the word. So I called it a brown hairy ball in the brown stuff. And I can tell most people in this room, if you've never heard me do it before, your brain automatically went, ooh. What? Because in your mind, for 90% of you, you went to a sexual image and it wasn't pretty. Admit it. Many of you don't want to admit that's what you actually pictured in your mind. You pictured a ball. It was small. It was hairy. And it was covered in brown stuff. And you were not thinking coconut in chocolate. You were thinking gross and disgusting, and I hope I don't have to clean that up. Especially caregivers, you were for sure thinking this. Let me ask you, what does the outside of a coconut look like? It's a brown, hairy ball. And what I was trying to do is describe coconut, but I couldn't find a lot of the descriptors, and so I had to go to the outside of the coconut, realize that I'm describing it visually. A brown, hairy ball in the brown stuff. Then I lost a second word, chocolate. And so I'm left with these brown stuff is vague. So I want you to do this. I'm looking for something. I want to tell you something. You know, the whatchamacallit, the thing that it is. You know, the thing that is the thing that goes around the thing. You know what I mean? The thing that you put in, the one who comes by and does the thing that he does with the thing. And you're going, I have no idea what you're talking about. Because your brain, do this, if this is what I'm doing, your brain is going, how about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? And your brain's going, there's too many options. I don't know what to pick. Your brain's, I don't know what you're talking about because we're expecting this. That's not what you got. And so this is frustrating for who? Both of us. We are both incredibly frustrated by this lack of skill. We get so frustrated that we get stupid about it. and you turn to the person and I say, turn to your partner or somebody near you now because you may have switched up. I want one of you to say, I need something. Go ahead and say that. And I want the other person to spontaneously react to that. What do you need? Yes, what did you just ask them for? I want you to realize how stupid you are. I want you to realize how dumb that was. They said to you, I need something. Obviously, if they could have thought of the name of the thing they needed, what would they have said? I need a... So what did you ask them? The thing they couldn't do it. Why do you think they didn't do it? Because they couldn't think of it. Now, what you're expecting is this. With dementia, good luck.
All right. So that is the end of the Teepa video. So we have a couple more. Sure. There we go. Okay. So when I say I need something, your automatic response is going to be, how can I help? What do you need? For normal people, that's going to be enough. I can say, I need someone to do X, Y, or Z for me. I need help moving. I need someone to help me figure out what I want for dinner. I need someone else to recommend a bottle of wine. If I have dementia and I say I need help, I might not be able to articulate the item I need help with. I might need to use the restroom, and I can't explain that I don't know where the restroom is. I don't know how to undo my belt. And if I can't undo my belt, I don't know how to undo the button on my pants or the zippers on my pants. Or I don't understand how to use the toilet. Do I use the toilet? Should I use the bathtub? Do I use the trash can? Should I climb up on the sink? I don't know what the function of this room is anymore. I'm supposed to be here, right? Or do I go over there? Like, is that what I should be doing? Bathroom, pee. I might just start yelling words at you. I am trying to get across a scenario or a word or an activity. And because of that circumlocation, I'm circling the word that I need. I can't properly get it out. So if I say, I need something, and your response is, what do you need? We're just going to do this for the next 35 minutes because we're going to dance around each other. So we already reviewed the normal aging scenario. We already talked about the not normal aging, and we talked about kind of some of the misunderstandings that might happen there. I just kind of want to review that real quick. So it's normal to not be able to recall a word. You might say it's the, you know what I'm talking about. It's the little green guy from Star Wars that talks weird. Who is that? What's his name?
Grogu.
Grogu. Thank you. And so you might say it's Grogu. And I might say Baby Yoda. And we would both be correct. And so I'm trying to articulate what this tiny green creature is. And you're giving me an answer to it. So I can't recall a word, but I can describe it accurately enough that you're able to get to it. Or if I'm saying it's the big tall guy, lots of anger issues, red lightsaber, wears a helmet. I mean, there's a couple of acceptable answers in this realm here, but at least gets you in the ballpark. So I might be slower to think. I might be a little more hesitant. That's really normal. What isn't so normal is I can't complete sentences. I might be angry if I'm saying it's the yes, that guy in Star Wars. You know what I'm talking about, Courtney. You love Star Wars. Just tell me the guy I'm thinking of. Just, you know who I'm talking about, right? And then you might say, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about because you don't want me to get mad. But we aren't on the same wavelength. Words don't come to me, and you might like start holding things up that is it Yoda? Is it Darth Vader? Is it Ben Solo? Is it Right. No. You know who I'm talking about. I'm just getting more and more irate as the process goes on because you aren't understanding. And in my mind, I know who I'm talking about, but I can't make that connection between what's in my brain. I can't get it to come out of my mouth. I have trouble between past and present. So I might say the angry guy with the big red lightsaber. And I might be stuck thinking about Darth Vader, and you might be thinking of Kylo Ren. So they're both technically correct, but we're confusing past and present. And dear God, this is turning into a nerd lesson, and I'm still going to submit it. And that's fine.
I was going to
support
applaud you. I think you're it's a great metaphor.
Or
Continue.
in 20 years, Courtney, we're on like the next level Zoom where like you materialize in my house and I'm putting things in a box and you're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I don't like Star Wars anymore. And you're like, oh no, personality change. So yeah, some things happen. Now, it's also important to remember that there are underlying health causes that may cause some of these that aren't dementia. You can have hearing impairment where I can just like, huh? Did you say goat? No, why would I need a goat? I don't have a goat. Oh, boat. Yeah, I'd love to go on the boat this weekend. That sounds great. So it could be a hearing impairment issue. It could be living in a high stress situation, which literally the entire world is right now. Like going to the grocery store was never my favorite activity, and now I don't want to do it at all. I didn't love people before this, and I really don't like them anymore currently. They could become acutely ill. They could have a new disease that's completely compromised their immune system. New medical illness, medical problems or interactions, pain or psychological issues. So there could be some underlying health care reason that's causing symptomatic cognitive change that isn't necessarily dementia. Especially in the elderly, we'll see a lot of delirium when we see someone have a urinary tract infection. So we see that a lot. And it doesn't, dementia and delirium and UTIs can play and overlay each other a lot. But in someone who is experiencing normal aging, when they become suddenly and acutely delirious and their personality changes on a dime, 9 times out of 10, it might be a UTI. It's completely fascinating that you treat that underlying issue and they go back to normal. So you treat that underlying medical condition and it kind of resets the system. All right. So I want you to tell me 2 things, one from each of you, that you learned about normal aging in this lesson.
Normal aging?
Normal aging.
It is normal to have thought processes slow down, and that it can take some time to come to the correct thing, but normally with the proper input or with the appropriate reminders, you can get there.
Yes. Steph, what's one thing you learned?
I was kind of going to go with that it's 0.5 to 1% that you lose starting in your 20s.
Yes.
And it's all just downhill from there.
It is, and that's so depressing. What are one thing each that you learned about not normal symptoms? Steph, what did you learn that was not normal aging?
I've got one.
What?
Okay.
I was going to say, I give used to time of it. The time I knew, like the time variance, like losing the time, the understanding
you
of
get
time.
stuck in the past, or you can't tell.
Yeah, and I mean, my grandmother has dementia, and every time I see her, she mentions a new my tattoos, and I've had them for years, but every single time it's, when did you get that done? And or my hair, she constantly asks when I dyed my hair, and it's been 20 years. and I never thought, I mean, that never occurred to me that the time input was different, that she was still seeing that her mental image of me is me at 14 versus me at 36.
Yeah, that it was almost stagnant in her mind that
Yeah.
you had stayed this one caricature of yourself. Thank you for that. Okay. What is a way that you guys remember talked about when we talked about getting data into your brain? One of the ways we just talked about was the kind of the layering that starts to break down. So we talked about the layering, we talked about the 5 senses and how it comes in with the visual. We talked about the limbic system and the amygdalas. We talked about the hippocampus. What's one of those that kind of jumped out to you guys?
Mine was like you lose your sense of taste and smell first.
Mhm.
And that really makes sense because when I've taken care of patients with Alzheimer's and dementia, they don't want to eat. And I think a lot of it might have to do with they don't really have a sense of taste and smell. So they are losing that will to want to eat.
Yes. For me personally, I really find fascinating the kind of layering of time, how things get stuck, how things kind of meld together, where you might start layering. Well, I knew in my first apartment, my bedroom was, at the back of the house, but in this house, it's at the front of the house, but I'm always constantly going to the back of the house because that's where I think it should be. And so when we talk, it's not just about long-term and short-term memory anymore. It's about working memory and how we layer all these things together in our heads. And I find the brain really fascinating, and there's so much about the brain we just don't know enough about yet. And that we learn so much from the brain, and we're learning more about Alzheimer's and other dementia diseases all the time. And it's feels wrong to say it's fascinating, but it's also something that needs so much more research out there. And I find it very interesting. So I want to say thank you very much to both of you guys for doing this with me tonight.
Of course.